Good morning. I just wanted to share about how following the wrong crowd sometimes can put you in a bad place. I grew up in Memphis on a street called Azalea. Actually, my very first street was Ryder. Then we moved on up just a little bit and we moved to Azalea. Azalea was a street probably uh, 40 to 50 homes. Almost a grandmother in every house. Good neighborhood. Good neighborhood. Uh, so, you have to, when moving there, I had to meet the kids and start to fit in. Well, my unfortunate thing was that I was the oldest amongst the grandkids when my grandparents moved to Azalea. So the responsibility of all the kids behind me to defense, everybody on the street had a big brother to run to. I had no one. I did have an uncle, the late Bishop William Young, but he was so much older. So how do I look going to get my uncle to come and fight some 10-year-olds? So it wasn't right. But something happened in Cummins Park one day. There was a crap game that went on up there. I was nowhere near. My grandparents wouldn't let me anywhere near there. But it was a crap game, and the guy won big, but it wasn't his neighborhood, so he didn't give the guys a chance to win their money back. Listen, don't gamble in a neighborhood where you're not from. Sometimes don't hoop. I used to go everywhere to play basketball, man. If it was a court and a ball and some nets, I'm playing. But every now and then, you might not need to go in that neighborhood to play. Because even though they're your teammates on the team, they still live on the same street. So sometimes, be safe in your own neighborhood. Watch where you go. That's a life lesson. But this thing happened in Cummins Park, and people came from miles around. The guy was just severely beaten. I never knew what happened to that guy that day. But from my seeing of him, it looked like something from Saturday wrestling with the blood and everything else. A totally uncommon thing. So it happened up in the park, but on Azalea, our backyards were to the park. So everybody's up there. And, I'm riding my bike up there to the park. And somewhere along the way, I see one of my classmates from Cummings School. And he's riding his bike. So I started riding my bike with him. And all of a sudden, he meets his older brother and some much older guys. So while the attention of everybody from my neighborhood was on whatever was happening at this, it was in the back of Cummins Park. It used to be a little building back there, and that's where they were playing craps, and things were big because the OGs on the street on Azalea, guess what? I was a smart boy. So believe it or not, they protected the smart kid. I know you feel like I'm just common, I'm that crazy guy on there, but man, I had some test scores. Woo-wee. You hanging out with thugs and you made a 26 on the ACT? So none of that matters. I didn't go to Harvard, but I could have. And I didn't go to Yale, but I should have. But forget all of the mistakes that I've made in my life. In that day, they protected the smart kids. While we were all a bunch of 10-year-olds, there were some 17, 18, 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds on the street that would have took the responsibility of protecting every young kid on the street. Now, my brother might fight you, but no one's going to come from another neighborhood to fight you. So while everybody's diverted and all the OGs are up there seeing what's happening, I follow this guy and his brother from the park. We ride our bikes all the way out of the neighborhood. And I'm riding with a bunch of dudes that I don't know, riding all through South Memphis. And we ended up at Jones Big Star. So they had this idea, let's get something. And I had a little bit of money, so I go into Jones Big Star. And then I come out and my bike is gone. Now, let me tell you about this bike. It was a bicentennial bike. Everybody else was riding Huffies. But my mom used her hard-earned money and bought me a bike. Man, that thing had a flag. It had all of its reflectors. Man, this thing was the bomb. You know, it was the bike. I could have went in B's neighborhood. I could have went on 8 is Enough, on the Brady Bunch. I had the baddest bike in South Memphis. My mom did it for me. And all because I wanted to follow a crowd that I didn't know. I took the L. So my mom calls the police. So I'm riding in the back of a police car. And growing up, you know, that old stupid hood rule, no snitching. Even though I knew who had it, I didn't call their names. Then the OGs on the street said, man, who did this, Steve? I didn't feel that they had to put up their ease or risk getting hurt over some foolishness that I did. So, hey, I took the L. Following the wrong crowd will make you take an L. Speaking on smarts, there's a groundbreaking work by Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. It's called Countering the Conspiracy to Kill Black Boys. He's got part 1 and 2. And he did a study how young black boys are just as smart as every other ethnicity, all the way up till they get to about the 4th or 5th grade. And that's when they start getting the peer pressure to where it's better to be popular sometimes than you to be smart. So, and as a matter of fact, that was the book by after that, he came with the book, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. He had a book called To Be Popular or Smart. In many of our neighborhoods, in many of our environments, we would rather be popular than smart. But hey, I'm telling you kids, if you're that smart one, stay smart. Nerds are in style. Nerds can end up ruling the world. But I wanted to be popular. So hey, sometimes you look back over the retinue of your life and you just see bad decisions that you made because you are a follower of the crowd. You want to be liked. You want to be popular. You want to have your name. You want to feel like you're in this. Now, the guy that stole my bike went to school with me at Cummins Elementary. I'll just tell you, he stayed in Lemoyne Garden. I continued to go to school with the guy. And before I knew it, he started catching little juvenile raps until where I wouldn't see him for years at a time. Now, his big brother, who distinctly stole my bike, he moved from bikes to cars. And somebody blew him all the way away. So he's dead. Brother's been in stretches. And I saw brother years later on Beale Street. Now, here I am, this smart kid. But by then, I had had a little taste of the streets. And I looked at him out of the side of my eye. I said, and then that little voice had to talk to me, Steve, you're not going to jump on this guy for stealing your bike in 76, 77. You don't do it. Don't you see him on Beale Street? Don't bring it up now, because I said, yeah, man, I was a little nerdy then. I ain't no nerd now. I just saw how it could play out, but that wouldn't have gone good. So I left that alone. But following the wrong crowd. I don't know what crowd you might be following, but sometimes you got to be that distinct person that stays outside of the crowd. Stop trying to be in the middle of everything. Sometimes most great things that are done in a lifetime happen so rarely with the crowd. It's the guy or the gal that goes against the grain, that follows their own North Star, that follows their purpose, that connects with what God called them into this day to be. And those are the ones who change the world. So I'm just telling you right now, following the crowd, you're going to take some L's. I'm sorry, maybe that's why I'm distinct, but I just want you to know, yeah, I wasn't play smart. I'm an intelligent guy. But I can go back and look back over the revenue of my life that I was trying to win this crowd, trying to win that crowd, trying to win this crowd, trying to win that crowd. I'm telling you, be smart. Smart you can take to the bank. You always can't take, sometimes you can take popularity to the bank, but more often, catch on smarts. And sometimes be smart enough that you don't have to roll with every whim of the crowd. I don't want you to take an L like me, because I chose one day to roll with the wrong crowd. Be blessed. Like this one, share, subscribe, leave a comment, because there's somebody right now, I don't know, and you ain't got to be on the streets. You can sometimes be in some social orders, some pecking orders, some church situations, some business situations. Sometimes the decision that you make for the crowd will leave you with a big fat L. Be blessed.